What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So over the weekend, there was a massive story that broke with the original voice of Bayonetta explaining through a series of videos why they're not voicing Bayonetta in the upcoming sequel. Well, after all of this started to spread online, it really exploded, and now it's getting to the point where it's out of control with Hideki Kamiya himself getting involved. We'll go over all of that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about a massive game series that, yes, finally seems to be making its return, and we'll also be talking about Razer, as they have now announced their newest handheld system, and it looks a bit better than that Logitech G Cloud. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton, and if new here to the SpawnWave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're gonna start today with Nvidia and their 4080 card that is set to launch next month, because it appears Nvidia has canceled, or as they say, unlaunched one of the variants. We can see this posted up over on their website, where they say unlaunching the 12GB 4080. The RTX 4080 12GB is a fantastic graphics card, but it's not named right. Having two GPUs with the 4080 designation is confusing, so they're pressing the unlaunch button on the 4080 12GB. The 16GB variant will continue as planned to launch November 16th. And the obvious thing is, as most of us figured, the differences went a bit deeper than just the amount of VRAM. With the card, it went as far as basically everything else about that card. It's not uncommon to have different amounts of video RAM on these cards, as the board partners would do that all the time, play around with RAM configurations and so on there. This went a bit deeper, and we figured what they were really doing was kind of passing off the 4070 as just a 4080 variant. And in fact, I wouldn't be shocked if a very similar looking card popped up maybe next year with the 4070 tag on it. But I guess we'll see about that as we head into 2023 with hopefully some of the lower end variants that aren't priced over $1,000. Also, we did have Nintendo announce a bit of an issue with Switch Sports. We can see this posted up over on Twitter, where they say a bug has been found in Nintendo Switch Sports version 1.2.1 update, which causes the software to close during the pre-match loading screen. This is unfortunately affecting both online and offline play modes. We have therefore temporarily suspended the rollout of the update, and to go a bit further, they've shut down servers for Nintendo Switch Sports temporarily, although it's still down as of this recording, so it's actually been a couple of days currently, which seems kind of drastic to basically knock out the online play for Switch Sports. The thing I noticed, though, is not many people were bringing it up, so I kind of wonder how many online are playing Switch Sports necessarily with online multiplayer, but still, it's not a good situation for Nintendo to be in there, having to pull down the online servers. Hopefully, they're able to figure this out in the next day or two. I was surprised it was still down when I was going through the show for Monday, but here we are. Oh, and at the end of last year, we did have that Splinter Cell remake announced by Ubisoft, and it looks like some things are changing in the background when it comes to some of the personnel. For example, we can see this posted up by VGC, where they say David Gribble, the director of the upcoming Splinter Cell remake, has left Ubisoft after 11 years. He was set as the director for the Splinter Cell remake, and instead it appears he's moving on. And this, of course, sparked quite a bit of concern online around this project. The only thing I can say with this, though, is it would be a lot worse if we were 3 or 4 years into development and the director is just randomly leaving. In this case, the Splinter Cell remake is still quite a ways off from them even showing it to us, let alone launching. So if the director was going to leave at any time, it'd probably be now, like very, very early on in the development cycle. So while I can't really pull much from this in terms of what it means for the direction of the game, it's at least at a better time than if we were leading up to launch and the director's out. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with the massive story over the weekend. I did a single video for this, going over it as things were breaking with the news and information kind of flying around. That being for Bayonetta 3. This tweet here was posted up that really got everything moving. That from Helena Taylor, who's the original voice of Bayonetta. There are 4 different videos that were posted up, mostly going over the situation around Platinum Games and Helena Taylor's negotiation for potentially voicing Bayonetta in the newest game coming out in 2 weeks. In the video, she essentially went over the pay being set at $4,000 after a little bit of back and forth, by the way. So it, I assume, was even less money the initial asking or initial time when they were talking about this. Then she goes on to ask fans to boycott the game itself, which I noticed seemed to put a lot of fans at some crossroads. A lot of conversations to be had online. Are we supposed to boycott this? What are we going to do here? And again, I come back to do what you want. There are a lot of people who have been looking forward to Bayonetta 3 this entire time, and all of a sudden you're gonna cancel it over this. That's up to each individual person. Personally, I will be checking the game out when it releases and we'll be doing coverage and of course talking about it on the podcast. But I also think there's still some more information that needs to get out there, as of course we're hearing from Helena Taylor around this whole thing. I think we are going to see a response from Nintendo and Platinum Games. I mean, Platinum will probably be the one to release it, but I'm sure Nintendo has fired up their legal team as well just to go over everything, because Hideki Kamiya didn't have a great couple of days on Twitter. Now, he had made an initial tweet referencing this, basically through translations, saying that it was not correct, essentially lying, untruthfulness, all these different things. And as soon as that started to get out there, because this video was picking up so much traction, I mean, everywhere, even TMZ had quote tweeted it. But the video is now nearly at 9 million views, which is 6 million more than the Bayonetta 3's initial trailer. Kamiya, of course, is getting crushed on Twitter. And what does Hideki Kamiya like to do? Block everyone and anyone without question. I've been blocked and unblocked about 4 times now by Hideki Kamiya. But because of that, his own account fell under like suspicious activity. So there was like a temporary block that was put up where you had to click a button to see his profile. And now we can see this that was posted up and screen grabbed by Nebellion, where they say it appears Hideki Kamiya's Twitter account is now gone. And yeah, you can see this account doesn't exist anymore. So it's hard to say if he just got tired of it and is like, I don't really need any of this. I'm just going to pull my account down completely. Or it's possible he was asked, hey, go ahead and pull your account down for now as things start to get figured out in the background with legal teams and whatnot for Platinum and Nintendo. Now, the reason I'm mentioning that specifically is because Helena Taylor herself says that she broke NDA to relay this information to fans. So I think it would be kind of a bad look overall for Nintendo to show up and just start suing all over the place. It's still a possibility because of that NDA being broken. This has led to conversation all over the internet, though, when it comes to voice acting, and not only games, but just media in general and compensation. So that is one, I'd say, bright spot overall, is that it has led to just more awareness around the pay structure there. I know there's still a lot of arguing back and forth and controversy around this entire thing. Some people canceling pre-orders outright, others not really caring as much, just kind of moving on with it. But I do believe we are going to see some sort of response from Nintendo and Platinum, because this entire situation has just snowballed completely out of control, more so than myself and I'm sure most people had thought. Like I said, almost 9 million views on that initial video for Twitter, and it's been circulating everywhere. So we'll keep an eye out for this to see what other information we potentially get from Nintendo and Platinum around the situation for Helena Taylor and the voice of Bayonetta. Next up, let's talk about a massive game series that appears to be returning, and I can't believe we're finally saying this, but I think Nate is going to get his W for Silent Hill. We can see this posted up by Konami saying, in your restless dreams, do you see that town? The latest updates for the Silent Hill series will be revealed during the Silent Hill transmission on Wednesday, October 19th at 2 p.m. Pacific time. So 2 days from now, we'll be seeing, I assume, at least something for Silent Hill, because if you go over to the website, it just says that Silent Hill, October 19th, 2022. There have been a lot of rumors of actually several projects under the Silent Hill umbrella. We've heard that there's like a series, which that's not shocking. We've seen a lot of these video game intellectual properties go to Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, wherever, and make a series or just a straight-to-streaming movie. So we've had movies with Silent Hill before. I wouldn't be shocked if they do another one here, but clearly the thing that everyone is wondering, is this finally where we see some sort of video game announced? And I believe so. I think we're going to see it. This would be a terrible thing for Konami to tease, only to show up with an NFT or a pachinko machine. I can't necessarily put it past them, but I mean, we've seen documentation and images and concept art leak out time and time again now. We've had rumors around entire remakes to new intellectual properties to Bloober Team being involved, so I just think there's too much smoke now to there not be fire with this one, and that's what I expect to see here. I'm curious how close maybe the next Silent Hill game would be. Is this something that we could see launch in the first half even of 2023? Because I feel like we've been hearing about this for a year or two now, and it makes you wonder if they've been waiting up until the point where it's almost ready to launch to show it off. It's also the question of, is this going to be something that Sony is part of with some sort of timed exclusivity or just outright exclusivity, as that is something they've been doing quite a bit, and we've heard that they have been making moves in the background to cement more of those partner relations with, well, games like Silent Hill and others that they work to money hat in development and marketing and then push out on the PlayStation 5. So Silent Hill fans, get excited. I don't know if we're going to see a massive Silent Hill blowout of information with games all over the place and series and probably a Silent Hill NFT or something, but I think at the very least, we will finally get confirmation that yes, there is a new Silent Hill game coming. Could it be that rumored remake? Could it be a brand new game in this series? That's something we'll have to wait and see, but only a couple of days. Next up, let's talk about the new handheld that was announced the other day from Razer, and this is the Razer Edge. We had talked about how this was getting teased and originally pointed to that, I guess, that concept system that they passed around to developers to show out off the new Snapdragon chipset, but now it looks, I would say, a lot better. You can see this here with some images, this posted up by Windows Central way of Razer, as well as an entire trailer we can check out, but it looks like there's going to be a two-piece design with this, kind of aimed similar to what we see with Nintendo with their Switch, where they have kind of Joy-Con-like controls on each side. When I first saw this and they showed the back of it, it really did just look like a tablet with one of those attachments that you see for phones where it gives you those physical buttons and joysticks on either side. And yeah, that's kind of what it is. I think it's like the Razer Kishi setup there, but it has a tablet there dead center. And the interesting thing about the tablet is it seems like the display is going to be really solid. 144 hertz OLED display, which is great. It will be using that Snapdragon G3X Gen 1 gaming platform chip clocked at 3 gigahertz. That's an 8-core Qualcomm Cairo CPU. And it's going to have 8 gigabytes of low-power DDR5, 128 gigabytes of storage. All the way around, this seems like a fairly high-end tablet device, and it's not overly large at 6.8 inches. 5,000 milliamp hour battery should give you decent enough battery life, and there will be a 5G option to go along with the Wi-Fi model, which is going to be starting at $399, and it's not that much more expensive than that G Cloud. The G Cloud was on discount initially when it went on sale, so I think this might be just about price parity with it. Now, we're still waiting to hear more information around a firm launch date, and apparently that's going to happen at CES in January 2023, but you can put pre-orders down now with a $5 deposit. I don't know if this is going to be something that's going to be super high in demand like we've seen with, say, the Steam Deck, but I guess it's possible. So in that case, you may want to get a pre-order in since it's only $5 and you can just cancel it at any time. That, of course, if you're interested in the idea of something that would be Android-based for its OS and definitely focused towards cloud gaming, but certainly has enough power to play a lot of native games and applications through that Google Play Store. And you have to remember, we're going to have more and more of a need for these kind of devices that can play these native mobile games as companies like Sony continue to work into that mobile division, and Microsoft showing a lot of interest in mobile gaming and so on there. So it does seem like with the three platform holders, Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony, working to develop for mobile devices, these could be something that would be interesting to those of us who aren't as interested in mobile gaming now. So I do like that Razer's at least trying something like this just to see what they'd come up with some higher end tech than what we have with the Logitech G Cloud. And obviously you can stream games, as it will have support for things like Nvidia's GeForce Now and Xbox with Game Pass and so on. So overall, interesting device. We'll see more about this one though in January. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about some controversy surrounding Gotham Knights, which is coming out later on this week. And when they first showed it, I was interested. I said, okay, this could be fun. And the more they've shown for this game, the less confidence I have behind it. And now we're starting to find out some things about the technical side of this game. And we are to a point now where I think most of us with a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series expect some sort of mode that would be geared more towards performance, in that case, more towards 60 frames per second. We're even seeing games shoot for 120 frames per second. However, Gotham Knights appears to be going in the opposite direction. It looks like it will just be capped at 30 FPS. That was the word going around for a little while, and now we have confirmation around this. We can see this posted up from a representative from WB who says, I know many of you are wondering about the availability of a performance mode for Gotham Knights on consoles. Due to the types of features we have in our game, like providing a fully untethered co-op experience in our highly detailed open world, it's not as straightforward as lowering the resolution and getting a higher FPS. For this reason, our game does not have a performance quality toggle option and will run at 30 FPS on consoles. I will say though, if you get it on PC, it's going to be uncapped, and that might be the way to go if you have a higher end machine that can push 60, 120, 144, whatever you have there with your monitor setup. But obviously, if you're on console or a current gen, sure, but one that you've been experiencing those performance modes in that 60 FPS mode on, and then you look at how Gotham Knights looks, which it just doesn't look like it's pushing the boundaries when it comes to visual fidelity. I mean, I was even expecting 60 frames out of this, and we've gotten this close to launch without really hearing about any of those details. It's a bigger deal for something like this that's an action game, as opposed to a turn-based RPG where you're just picking things in the menu and watching stuff happens. This is something where you're going to be stringing together combos and more reactionary stuff. So yeah, that's gonna be kind of frustrating to be stuck at 30, because every game like that I play that has performance, I immediately go to it. Even if there's a fidelity mode where they're talking about all these really cool things with ray tracing and all this, I still just kind of go performance, because the feel of the game to me that pairs with the gameplay is more important than the overall visuals of it. This will use ray tracing according to them, and I'm sure it'll have all the bells and whistles all the way around it, but I'd prefer them to turn some of that stuff off if that's the case and give me 60 frames, but according to them, it's not that simple. So unfortunate news here. I'll still be checking out Gotham Knights, but there is a lot of stuff coming up, so it might go on the back burner a bit as I work through things like Mario Rabbids, Bayonetta 3, and then we're on our way to God of War, which will have a performance mode. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're taking a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday. We're asked, are you picking up Bayonetta 3? 63% said, no, I'm not interested in Bayonetta 3. 22% said yes, but later after a sale. And then 16% said yes, I'm buying it ASAP. So we had talked a little bit about the sales potential of Bayonetta 3 on the podcast. I was a little surprised with some of the numbers that were getting thrown out, because they seem fairly low, like 1 to 1.5 million. I understand Bayonetta 3 doesn't sell, like, it's not the biggest seller, so we may not even be able to tell if there was any kind of effect on sales from this apparent boycott that's being called for by the original voice of Bayonetta. But still, this seems like a game, Bayonetta 3, that's really set to be the outlier of this series. The Switch with this very large install size, and the game itself shaping up to be high quality, 5 years of development time. So I was thinking more along the lines of 3 to 4 million, but that, I guess, would be pushing it. Hey, in a couple of weeks, we'll find out, as we'll see our first sales indication out of Famitsu's chart. So I guess we'll find out as we head into November. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Cool, saying, retail worker here, can confirm most of the PS5 I see in the back room are the Horizon bundle. On occasion, I'll see a few standard PS5s though. And this is something I did notice. Some people were telling me this. On the PlayStation Direct store, they had Horizon bundles and they had just standard disc-based PS5s popping up. And I've been hearing more and more that, yes, they're becoming available consistently. And I think going into 2023, so first half of next year, we'll say, I kind of feel like Sony is going to, I don't want to say catch up to demand, but make it so it's fairly easy to get a PlayStation 5, which means scalpers, resellers, they'll kind of move on completely and it'll just be $500 or $550 for a bundle or something for the PS5. And we won't be hearing about how it's impossible to find these systems. Then who knows? Maybe it will show up in a Target or Walmart or Best Buy. There's crazy times ahead. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. Where's the entire Bayonetta 3 situation? Were you surprised to see it explode online as much as it did, to where Hideki Kamiya is just off of Twitter now? And then also, what about Silent Hill? Big event coming up. Do you think this is finally the time that Konami will actually show us a new video game? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.